San Juan, winter of 1958. In the early 50s, when San Juan first became a tourist town, an ex-jockey named El Parvanito built a bar at the patio behind his house on Calle O'Leary. He called it Al's Backyard and hung a sign above his doorway on the street with an arrow pointing between two ramshackle buildings to the patio and back. At first he served nothing but beer at 20 cents a bottle and rum at a dime a shot, or 15 cents with ice. Yeah, looking back, I wasn't aware of it then what a special place it was, or a special time.
Shall we talk about the book?
Yeah. What book?
The Rum Diary.
Oh, yeah.
You know, anyone who has written a novel in his early years as a writer and then put it in a drawer, whether out of personal doubt or because it was rejected by the world at large.
Remember when we were all young reporters, the legend of every young reporter had his novel in his drawer that he was working on.
Once Hunter left Louisville, he went into the Air Force, and his dream was to write a big novel, a novel that was on par with Hemingway or Fitzgerald, and using rum as the main substance that would kind of hold this novel together. And hence he began working on it like a fiend while in Puerto Rico.
It's very touching. On the front of the manuscript is a long line of addresses, returned to Hunter S. Thompson.
And then he came back to the States, and he kept working on it, and he actually got a contract for it for Random House.
Yeah, I was a success. I was going to New York to do the Scott Fitzgerald act out of the Plaza Fountain because I had finally sold a novel.
But they kept wanting revisions on it. And so when he got back to the United States, he moved to Northern California and worked on the Rum Diary, and then started writing pieces on the Hells Angels.
I did that article for The Nation on the Hells Angels. Wacko. I had 7 book offers. Yeah, it was a writer's dream. I was stunned. And I still didn't have an incoming phone. I couldn't get a job in San Francisco. I couldn't even drive a cab.
And it was supposed to get published before Hell's Angels, but the energy of the Angels, and people kept saying, well, forget the novel, this whole new journalism thing of Tom Wolfe and Norman Mailer is very in, and people encouraged Hunter to focus on Angels.
When the Hell's Angels thing hit, I took another look at the Rum Diary and thought, this needs some dressing up. It needs another rewrite. I said, are you nuts? You're a best-selling author? Yeah, your first novel coming out? You've been trying to sell it for 5 years? We bought it, Are you crazy? And yeah, I spent most of my life just trying to humor people. Sometimes you can't just humor them, when you're sent to a psychiatrist at the age of 15, People telling me I'm crazy has been pretty common.
Yeah, I imagine you've had a lot of that.
So I stole, they wouldn't give it back to me, so I had it stolen back.
It languished in his basement. A big, fully realized manuscript, just unpublished, without a home.
When an ex-communist named Letterman came down from Florida to start the San Juan Daily News, Al's Backyard became the English Language Press Club, because none of the drifters and the dreamers who came to work for Letterman's new paper could afford the high-priced New York bars, quote, that were springing up all over the city like a ranch of neon toadstools. The day shift reporters and desk men straggled in about 7, and the night shift types, sports people, proofreaders, and makeup men, usually arrived en masse around midnight. All manner of men came to work for the news. Everything from wild young Turks who wanted to rip the world in half and start all over again, to tired, beard-bellied old hacks who wanted nothing more than to live out their days in peace before a bunch of lunatics ripped the world in half. They ran the whole gamut, from genuine talents and honest men to degenerates and hopeless losers who could barely write a postcard. Loons and fugitives and dangerous drunks. A shoplifting Cuban who carried a gun in his armpit. A half-wit Mexican who molested small children. Pimps and pederasts and human chankers of every description. Most of them working just long enough to make the price of a few drinks and a plane ticket. Yeah, this was kind of a culture at the time. You know, the vagrant journalists. We'll talk about that later.
First time I was there, I got freaked out.
Doors wide open.
In the 1990s, when I started working in Hunter's archive to help him bring out his book, The Proud Highway, his collected letters, I found the Rum Diary in the basement, and it fascinated me as a historian and a historical document. And Hunter and I started reading some of it, and there was an idea, why don't you try to sell this and have this count as one of your book advances? Because it was done already. Along with a team of people, including Wayne Ewing and Curtis Robinson, Mary Sue Rucci of Simon & Schuster, Heidi, who was a girlfriend of Hunter's at the time, people would come and read and help Hunter cut out some parts to bring the novel out.
This thing needs new shocks.
The final lap.
I want to have a naked woman morphed into this picture and standing there on the beach. That could be done, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
That's terrifying. That's really terrifying. Shit.
There are enough naked women in the novel.
Yeah, more than I expected.
I think that works great for a movie, because in the movie, almost like you'll end with you sitting in there, and you may, I think what you have is while you're walking, like having your last drink at the bar, you hear the piano would be Depp's voice reading that, you know. And
you made the jump here, right? Yeah.
I know.
He always felt the Rum Diary was written to become a movie fairly easily. I think that time in his career, he wanted to write books that became movies. I think he thought that was part of, you know, that's what happened to The Great Gatsby. It became a really good movie, so his books could become a really good movie.
Well, we got through that St. Thomas thing. The story gets through it pretty well as to what happened over there.
Hunter wanted to write something very Hemingway-esque, but also very poignant and bittersweet and sad. And the tropics he felt to be a perfect setting. Hunter's wife was from the panhandle of Florida.
But then just never kind of disappear. I kept waiting for it to pop up again. It's unsatisfying.
Hunter has these characters in the book, and it's sort of he's a composite character, but Paul Kemp in the novel is really the Hunter-esque figure. It's fiction, so it's not an autobiographical novel in any true sense, but nevertheless, Hunter would take a lot of notes. The whole idea of him sitting at the cafe and listening to the sad piano and having a glass of rum and trying to read the newspapers as they'd come in and falling in love.
No, and I was waiting for her to pop out of the shower. That would have been your, love story or romance. But what if he goes to, he's trying to yell and somebody's in the shower. He goes there and it's Jamin and Chenault and he's killed her.
Oh,
in the shower.
Jamin has to flee?
Yeah.
It's a cheap shot.
Yeah, I know.
Or
Oh, I know, but as a reader, I'm just thinking.
maybe you see a little blurb about a young American being assaulted on a plane on her way back. That brings it all back full circle.
It's a memoir.
Yeah, what happened to the real?
Yeah.
Chenault? That would be your answer.
Well,
on the spot.
happily ever after is what we're talking about, right?
No, what really?
No, the truth.
It's too mushy.
She moved back to New York, and then you had an affair with her?
No, he married her.
You're in the right direction, yeah.
It's Sandy, and you married her.
Well, nobody's anybody here.
I think I wouldn't film this car waiting.
When I arrived, the news was 3 years old, and Ed Lauderman was on the verge of a breakdown. To hear him talk, you would think he had been sitting at the very cross corners of the earth, seeing himself as a combination of God, Pulitzer, and the Salvation Army. He often swore that if all the people who had worked for the paper those years could appear at one time before the throne of the Almighty, if they all stood there and recited their histories and their quirks and their crimes and their deviations, there was no doubt in his mind that God himself would fall down in a swoon and tear his hair.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's impossible to read the Rum Diary and not feel Hunter, but it's not the Hunter of the speed era of the 1960s. It's not an adrenaline fueled Hunter.
We've already cut a lot of this in the first time through, and I think if I read it right now, we can pick up the thread.
It's amazing to see it all brought together
Yeah.
after all of our struggles
Yeah.
last night. And
Yeah.
It was mid-morning when I left the house, but the sun was already so hot that it felt like mid-afternoon. Driving along the beach, I remembered how much I enjoyed the mornings when I first came to San Juan. There was something fresh and crisp about the first hours of a Caribbean day, a happy anticipation that something's about to happen, maybe just up the street or around the next corner.
Faulkner used to say it's important for writers to claim a patch of somewhere. You know, he had Oxford, Mississippi, or the way Hemingway's Nick Adams stories had the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Puerto Rico never had its poet laureate. And so Hunter kind of felt that he could create something out of what it meant to be part of the United States, but what not to be part of journalism, but be an outsider also.
Then came noon, and morning withered like a lost dream. The sweat was torture, and the rest of the day was littered with the dead remains of all those things that might have happened, but couldn't stand the heat.
Jesus.
When the sun got hot enough, it burned away all the illusions, and I saw the place as it was, cheap, sullen, and garish. Nothing good was going to happen because the garbage god wouldn't stand for it.
The garbage god has always been a little confusing. I like nothing good was going to happen here. That's a final judgment.
The Rum Diary was a challenge because the idea was to edit it without changing anything. The idea was to edit it without putting in, for Hunter, some words were like really good old friends that he worked with quite a bit. Brutal, was one of them. Doomed. Well, this book predated those friends, and it was a challenge for him not to introduce those into the editing process.
He lit a cigarette. "You know we're still out on bail," he said quietly. "We're doomed." You want to keep that?
Okay, that contributes a little bit to the story.
Okay, so
Keep it for now. Yeah, doomed. Now it's I have to jump. We have to do something about being doomed. We can't reflect on it anymore.
no. Well, we're gonna cut the landlady, so we'll cut 354.
Oh, that's right. Here's this tirade against this woman, this rotten landlady.
Yeah.
This evil, scheming, witless lump of jelly.
He would want to start to tweak it, and the problem with Hunter was he couldn't, anything he touched suddenly became a mature Hunter Thompson thing because his style was so evident and everything. So it was almost like he couldn't change anything, and it was amusing in a way, but it could be a horrible thing to watch.
The song was Laura, and the sad notes floated out to the patio and hung in the trees like birds too tired to fly.
I don't know about that. But
Oh, I love that.
okay. Well, at 22, you can write shit like that.
The song was Laura, and the sad notes floated out to the patio and hung in the trees like birds too tired to fly. It was a hot night with almost no breeze, but I was feeling cold sweat in my hair. For lack of anything better to do, I studied a cigarette burn in the sleeve of my blue Oxford cloth shirt. Solid called for more drink, and Sweet brought out 4 rum, saying they were on the house. We thanked him and sat for another half hour, saying nothing. Down on the waterfront, I could hear the slow clang of the ship's bell as it eased against the pier, and somewhere in the city a motorcycle roared through the narrow streets, sending its echo up the hill to Cayo O'Leary. Voices rose and fell in the house next door. Sounds of a San Juan night, drifting across the city through layers of humid air, Sounds of life and movement, people getting ready and people giving up, the sound of hope and the sound of hanging on, and behind them all, the quiet, deadly ticking of a million hungry clocks, the lonely sound of time passing in the long Caribbean night.
Hey, I think we better quit while we're ahead.
I agree.
Baby, bring home She couldn't believe it.
I'm so happy.
This isn't really a huge surprise. You don't realize how really lucky you are.
Oh man, I'm gonna cry.
I think it turned out to be a study of his internal conflicts with compromise. I think he finally got what he wanted from it, even though it was many years later. It's amusing we called it the long lost novel, but I think he knew where it was every moment of his life.
Lights the cigarette all the time.
Here's a few. Oh yeah, that might really go.
Get your cigarette away from there, please.
Okay. Well, so take it to the front yard.
Let's take it in the yard.
Like most of the others, I was a seeker, a mover, a malcontent, and at times a stupid hellraiser. I was never idle long enough to do much thinking, but I felt somehow that my instincts were right. I shared a vagrant optimism that some of us were making real progress, that we had taken an honest road, and that the best of us would inevitably make it over the top. At the same time, I shared a dark suspicion that the life we were leading was a lost cause, that we were all actors, getting ourselves along on a senseless odyssey. There was a tension between these two poles, a restless idealism on one hand, and a sense of impending doom on the other that kept me going.
Nice, honey.
That takes that.
It became a big hit, the novel. First off, it made the New York Times bestseller list, but the New Yorker bought first serial rights. And it's the only time that Hunter S. Thompson appeared in a major piece in the New Yorker. He was very proud about that.
That's a section that the New Yorker is using.
Is it?
This week. Since you know the characters, and God knows we do, why don't you just take it from, was it 15?
Okay. I turned to watch the dancers, thinking that since I'd paid $6 to get into this place, I might as well try to enjoy it. The dancing was getting wilder now. I looked and saw Chenault dancing with the small, spade-bearded man we had met earlier. He was a good dancer, and whatever step he was doing was pretty involved. Chenault was holding her hands out like a hula charmer, a look of tense concentration on her face. Now and then she would spin, swirling her madras skirt around her like a fan. The crowd was moving back to make room for something, and I walked over to see what it was. They had made a big circle, and in the middle of it Chenault and the small, spade-bearded man were doing the dance. Chenault had dropped her skirt and was dancing in her panties and her white sleeveless blouse. Her partner had taken off his shirt, exposing his glistening black chest.
Oh, God.
He wore nothing but a pair of tight red toreador pants. Both of them were barefoot. Now, as if in some kind of trance, Chenault began to unbutton her blouse. She popped the buttons slowly, like a practiced stripper, then flung the blouse aside, and pranced there in nothing but her bra and panties. Now they were close together, and I saw the brute reach around Chenault and unhook the strap of her bra. He undid it quickly, expertly, and she seemed unaware that now she wore nothing but her thin silk panties. The bra slid down her arms and fell to the floor. Her breasts bounced violently with the jerk and thrust of the dance. Full, pink-nippled balls of flesh suddenly cut loose from the cotton modesty of a New York bra. I watched, fascinated and terrified. The noise was an overpowering roar from 200 wild throats. Chenault still wore that dazed, ecstatic expression as the man reached out and eased her panties over her hips and down to her knees. She let them drop silently on the floor, then stepped away, breaking into the dance again, moving against him, freezing there for a moment. Even the music paused. Then dancing away, opening her eyes and flinging her hair from side to side.
It's a pretty good scene.
How would you characterize this novel?
I've always thought that Gatsby is the great American novel. Yeah, that's how crazy I was when I started this. I intended this to be the great American novel. Yeah, I'll put this novel up against anything written. I still can't beat that goddamn Gatsby in terms of
No one can beat
pages.
that goddamn Gatsby.
Yeah, I think this is a great Puerto Rican novel, at least.
Yeah. I think it's extremely good.
Yeah, I do too.
Hunter and Johnny were like a team, and everybody, of course, wanted to meet both of them. So they created this tiki hut scenario where people would come, investors, producers, people that might be game to make a movie, and they would come and have an audience with Johnny and Hunter.
Some proprietary technology. This
is a really big idea, actually. And you need a director who will work to make this movie, I'm not saying cheap, but for a price.
Well, Jack, he's always cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the way to get it down is
we'll get a package deal with him.
Oh, at one point,
With
Jack
Jack?
was he was scheduled to play Lauderman when we're talking
Would
about.
they do it for you?
Not just for me. I mean, what the hell? Now I'm supposed to finance the movie? It's like a vanity publishing.
These always didn't go well because Hunter had a zero patience for waterheads, and he would blow up on people. He'd feel that you know, it was a ripoff or a con, that it shouldn't be so hard. But Johnny and him ended up having fun doing this. It was kind of interviewing the people who might end up making the movie.
We'll finish reading the book. We'll you guys think about writers. And what we should do is we should talk to you in a few days.
Yeah, perfect. I think that
And
would be great.
I think that the idea of somehow, I mean, you take this energy that you two have and who you are, and that it's your project. There's got to be some way to make this a populist. I mean, when I say it's your project, I mean it's not a studio project. Okay, you've not got, you know, an executive planning this.
It's a feeling that there's no money in this.
No, there's a lot.
People's film.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money in it, but it's just under the table.
I didn't say I needed a lot, but I just got when I get the feeling that,
Capitalists running dog.
Yeah, right. No, I do wonder why there's so much money out there for every conceivable thing.
There's so much money out there for certain things.
Well, but
that's how
entertainment votes.
For certain entertainment and for certain things that bring money back. That's how it goes, unfortunately.
What I'm saying is not synonymous with there being no money, but in order to get
I'm being a little harsh.
to get before there's a lot of money being spent on this movie, which there will be eventually, and a lot of advertising money, to get the public excited, there's a way without preempting both situations through the internet to do something completely unique. That's all I'm saying. You decide what you want to do.
Because the other thing about the internet is that the more things appear subversive, the more popular they are. Because the people who are
I've always appeared
completely
subversive.
Isn't that true in life in general?
That's why you got so many websites.
I was going to say that's why you would be particularly popular on the internet, because the idea is to the people who log on are people who are very, very media savvy and cynical. You know, sort of Generation Y.
Well, I've been dependent on it to be subversive for a long time.
Sitting alone with their computer, and they can be alone. And
Yeah.
You're not quite subversive. You're a little bit something more evil than that.
I've got a store on Hollywood Boulevard.
You do. All right, I'm going to walk you guys
Did you get to
down.
pick the spot?
We're going to make a movie and be on the internet?
No.
You don't?
I have no idea.
You don't, seriously?
I swear to God, I wouldn't make
I'll
it up.
buzz you out.
And then I'll walk.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing you.
Well, I like the energy. Really, here. I could call Jack tonight and just ask him who should direct
Johnny,
it.
are the
Who
steps
should
lit over here?
I don't know.
who should write
You
it?
want a flashlight?
We're
No,
cool.
it's night one.
Oh yeah, that screen. Oh, really? No, don't let Peter. Yeah.
How's that?
Well, that's all. This is going to go forever. And putting the screen up really cuts the heat down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to fucking
What kind of what is this?
piece of ember fucking shooting into your mouth.
Oh, if
Mid-sentence.
it pops, it's terrible. You should probably get when it doesn't pop.
Hunter's dream was to have the Rum Diary as a movie because I think he always saw it as a kind of warped Casablanca.
Who would own the movie? We or but no? I guess that has to come in the percentages. Or
We would own the movie.
would I be selling it to them or they'll pay me $500,000?
Pretty interesting. That I don't think they're gonna do that.
Both had made a careers being wildly popular as outsiders. Johnny's seen as an outsider figure in film, just as Hunter was in literature. Yet they redefined the rules of what the mainstream could absorb. They created their own rules. They both were touched with a sense of anarchy, but yet they also were willing to play in the main game. They weren't fringe characters. Also, they had a great love of language.
Here's a letter that, or I guess.
Dear Keith, May 18th, 1998. United Airlines 1436, Denver to New York City. Very bumpy, wind shears every 3 minutes. This is something I've been meaning to tell you for a long time. You're old enough to now start carrying your own weight in a band. Eric does it. Mick does it. Ron does it. Why can't you? RSVP, Hunter. See you soon. Mahalo. Eric does it. Mick does it. Ron does it. Why can't you?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Holly.
Oh, hey, Hunter. Hi.
My pleasure.
You in a morbid mood about drinking? I mean, you.
No.
You have a fear?
No, oh, for God's sake, I'm Swedish. So, we do carry handguns and we drink and we get depressed and it's winter in my
Fuck, she showed up and
These are my
and
people,
demanded
dude.
whiskey. That was really a beautiful move.
So the book.
Let's make it.
Yeah. Yeah, the book.
I turned on the lights and opened the windows. Then I made a large drink and stretched out on the cot to read my magazine. Oops. There was a faint breeze, but the noise from the street was so terrible that I gave up trying to read and turned out the lights. People kept passing on the sidewalk. Yeah. People kept passing on the sidewalk and looking in. And now that they couldn't see me, I expected looters to come crawling through the window at any moment. I lay back on the cot with a bottle of rum resting on my navel and plotted how to defend myself. If I had a Luger, I thought, I could drill the bastards. I leaned on one elbow and pointed a finger at the window, seeing what kind of shot I could get. Perfect. There was just enough light in the street for a good silhouette. I knew it would happen quickly. I'd have no choice. Just pull the trigger and go deaf from the terrible noise. A frenzy of screaming and scratching followed by a ghastly thump of a body. Followed by the ghastly thump of a body knocked back and down to the sidewalk. There would be a mob, of course, and I'd probably have to shoot a few in self-defense. Then the cops would arrive and that would be it. They'd recognize me and probably kill me right there in the apartment. Jesus, I thought, I'm doomed. I'll never get out of here alive. I thought I saw things moving on the ceiling and voices in the alley were calling my name. I began to tremble and sweat, and then I fell into a twisted delirium. So beautiful. What was that one section last night we had?
One up front.
I did not know what the hell to believe because Depp was charming and unfailingly polite, and then there was some dude with a camera, and there was a great Hunter Thompson, and he was, you absolutely could not understand a word that came out of his mind.
The other drinking, fear of whiskey and all that is,
What was the one, the fear of...
The DTs, yeah.
So beautiful.
Just seeing their, their relationship, it was just very sweet. It was a very pure thing. It wasn't, it wasn't a business arrangement. It wasn't someone trying to do someone's, book. It was, they had real love between the two of them. And I think that was obviously, just as an observer, very seductive. Even if I didn't know how this book was going to turn into a movie, we had to try.
All right, I better call Lily before 11.
Hello?
Holly.
Yes.
Hi. Hunter.
Hi, Hunter.
How are you?
I'm having a grouchy evening. How are you?
Well, it sounds like you're, I'm fine.
So I talked to your newer folks. I talked to someone from Brillstein Gray. I talked to someone also from the New York office of your agency.
Wiley? Yes.
And I'm going to put it in an offer on Friday for the book. What they know, and what I think I've told you, and you should know, is that, I don't have artisan dollars, or if this thing's going to go to the highest bidder, I'm going to lose. But what I can do is guarantee that I make your movie. I can put it in a production guarantee.
All right, good. Yeah, that's good. Are you coming out to Colorado, or is that off, or what?
Yeah, I actually am, but maybe not to your neck of the woods, more Telluride.
Oh, yeah? You're going
I would
out.
love to drop in on you if the invitation is still there.
Yeah.
Or are you planning on going away for the holiday?
No, I'm going to stay here and work. I've been drafted in my position as a deputy coroner. Yeah, to work on New Year's Eve.
Awesome.
Well, I don't have to work very often. I get the badge and the official position and the authority. I have a lot of authority.
Authority is a good thing, sir.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the only person. Well, a coroner is the only public official who has the power to arrest the sheriff.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, if you get in politics, you should. I had to learn those things quick when I was running for sheriff.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, you always have to have the coroner, with you if you're the sheriff. And yeah, the sheriff can't fire me, for instance. Yeah, it's a good position.
That's very funny.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Yeah, like Ali said that there are no jokes. The truth is the funniest joke of all. That's Muhammad Ali.
Ali said that?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't unromantic, our relationship. He told me once that he thought we would be a perfect, couple if we ever decided to be one. But even given that, even him saying that, he was never rude, lecherous. He was a chivalrous, romantic guy.
What have you done with this rum diary thing? You're going to owe me your version of an outline fairly soon.
Well, shit, Hunter. It's like crazy for me to come up with the outline. I mean, we need like the person who's going to be writing the book, writing the movie, coming up with the outline.
The outline is cracking it. It's finding out what about that book is gonna. The book has a ton of soul, but a soul is not a story engine. That's a very specific thing that kind of takes you by the balls and.
But you were going to make an offer by Friday, as I recall.
Well, what I decided on Friday was I have to know what the movie is, and I have no idea what the movie is.
People think that scripts are dialogue and character. They're not. They're structure. Scripts are architecture. That's what they are. I mean, that's what in a movie, you cannot make a good movie from a bad script. It's just not possible. You can make a bad movie from a good script. You can ruin it, but you can't put lipstick on that pig, as Sarah Palin could say.
But you telling me that your offer is going to be so low that you're embarrassed by it?
It'll be competitive, but once I buy your book or option your book for however many thousands of dollars, then I'm looking at another $150,000 to get the thing written.
All right, Warren, here's what's going to happen. Yeah. You're about to go on the air, on camera, and read this famous letter. It's the most famous thing I've ever written, I believe. I mean, instant mass circulation, nothing I've ever written has gotten this. Everybody knows about it.
My assistant said, there's a fax from Hunter. And there were many faxes from Hunter. I have a pile of them. They all range in various, fits of pique or charming, delightful. Some of them are completely innocuous and sweet. But I said, oh, great. Send it to my hotel. And he said, I think you want to hear this one.
Grievance. Hunter goes to Hollywood. The following letter was sent in January by Hunter S. Thompson to Holly Sorensen, Senior Vice President of Production of the Shooting Gallery, a New York-based film company that optioned the rights for Thompson's novel, The Rum Diary. Dear Holly, okay, you lazy bitch, I'm getting tired of this fuck around that you're doing with The Rum Diary.
I think for the layman, you think you have a Hunter Thompson book and you have Johnny Depp, why can't things happen quickly? And the fact is development takes a long time because the hardest part to get right is the script, and The Rum Diary isn't the easiest adaptation.
We are not even spinning our wheels aggressively. It's like the whole project got turned over to zombies who live in cardboard boxes under the Hollywood freeway. I seem to be the only person who's doing anything about getting this movie made. I have rounded up Depp, Benicio del Toro, Brad Pitt, Nick Nolte, and a fine screenwriter from England named Michael Thomas, who is a very smart boy and has so far been a pleasure to talk to and conspire with.
Hunter and I had a difference of opinion whether Michael Thomas was the right screenwriter for The Rum Diary. That was a big part of the problem. And when we decided to work together, or when he, chose us or was stuck with us, however the case may be, and I don't know what the case is, you probably do. Hunter knew the rules, which was, we are a company with very little money. We spend very little money developing. We have to go with options that are, at Writers Guild minimums. And in return for that, we give huge amounts of creative freedom. That was our game.
So there's your fucking script, and all you have to do now is act like a professional and pay him.
All you have to do now is act like a professional and pay him the 10 times higher amount than we agreed we would pay anyone. What the hell do you think making a movie is all about? What the hell do you think making a movie is all about? Nobody needs to hear any more of that gibberish about how your new Mercedes and your ski trips and how hopelessly broke the shooting gallery is. I didn't have a new Mercedes. I had a 76, 77, 450, which was an old beater, and I bought it for a friend for $6,000, which he damn well knew because he'd driven in it several times. Your ski trips, I don't ski, and how hopelessly broke the shooting gallery is, which sadly was true.
If you're that fucking poor, you should get out of the movie business. It is no place for amateurs and dilettantes who don't want to do anything but take lunch and waste serious people's time. Fuck this. We have a good writer, we have the main parts cast, and we have a very marketable movie that will not even be hard to make. And all you are is a goddamn bystander, making stupid suggestions and jabbering now and then, like some half-bright kid with no money and no energy and no focus except on your own tits.
That I think is funny. Hunter was sometimes focused on my tits, but I don't think I was.
I'm sick of hearing about Cuba and Japs and your yo-yo partners who want to change the story because the violence makes them feel queasy. Shit on them. I'd much rather deal with a live asshole than a dead worm with no light in his eyes. If you people don't want to do anything with this movie, just cough up the option and I'll talk to somebody else. The only thing you're going to get by quitting and curling up in a fetal position is relentless grief and embarrassment. Yep. And the one thing you won't have is fun.
That's where he was wrong, because I had a lot of fun with Hunter.
If you don't do something quick, you're going to destroy a very good idea. I'm in a mood to chop your fucking hands off. RSVP, Hunter. Copies to Depp, Benicio, M. Thomas, Nolte, Shapiro.
I never read the Michael Thomas script. He took a long time to write it, and we went out of business before he delivered it to us. But I have talked to lots of people who have read the script, and obviously it's not the script that Johnny Depp shot or made, so I think that he had some issues with it also.
Well, I shouldn't have called him at this hour, I just didn't think. Fuck you, man.
You might have gone back to sleep.
Yeah. I've done that, yeah.
Hello, Doctor?
Oh, Christ, I'm sorry to wake you up like this.
No, don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah, I feel like an asshole.
No, shit, don't worry, man.
Well,
I'll have to work soon anyway.
I think we're going to have some fun with it. If I didn't, I would get rid of it.
Oh, no, I think it'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
I think it'd be absolutely great.
Yeah, all we need now, really, is a director and the girl to play Chenault. Same shit, isn't it? Yeah, I found my model for Chenault, and that, unfortunately, it's Charlotte Rampling.
Oh, fuck, I love Charlotte Rampling.
So do I, but she's a little bit past his age limit, or she's a little bit, she's 55 or something. Oh, well, one of the things they told me was, and we talked about this before, I think, that we don't really need another star name. We got a star-studded cast already.
Yeah, no, it's a really good opportunity to get some newcomer,
Yeah, man, we got to talk about a splash.
And roll. It's a really great. It's a great part. Hang on one second, Hunter. I'll be right back.
Right.
Let me get the door here.
We get the door here. That's when it's always good to suddenly have a wild bunch of screaming on the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi. Getting the door, I was just thinking of a scene, like, just as you said there, wait a minute, I got to get the door here, I'm calling you the door tester, and all of a sudden, on the telephone, hear this wild roar and shouting and fuck you, you bitch, and violence and slapping and shouting, and then the phone goes dead. That would be interesting.
Oh, God.
Yeah. We could work that into the movie. Oh, God. We could work that in, when they're, like, Chenault calls from, after 2 or 3 days.
Oh, shit.
She calls from St. Thomas, collect one of those things. And, Kemp gets the call, and he's been, worried and guilty and horrified by, by leaving her there. And finally the great relief comes over him that, oh, you're all right. She's saying, oh, yeah, I'm fine. It's all calmed down, all the tension over what happened to her. And then, you're hearing, Kemp is hearing her talk very suavely, smoothly.
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, wait a minute, I have to get the door. And, it's momentarily away. And all of a sudden you hear the screaming and howling and, pounding. Yeah. And then the phone goes dead.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's good. That will keep people up. By the time she shows up back in Puerto Rico, whatever happens is going to be wild. You may have a good role coming here.
What's that?
You may have a good role coming.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, this may be a, have you ever played one like this?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we got kind of a role going here. R-O-L-L. Yeah.
Well, you better let him roll. And
okay, yeah. Well, who you doing it? Anybody I know?
Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet and Julie Christie.
Oh, Julie Christie. Oh, man. That is another one of my crushes. So you got a big package and you got a lot of fun coming.
Beautiful.
There's nothing, I'm not urging anything on you here that won't be fun.
No, exactly.
It won't be rewarding, yeah. Oh, my God, Colonel, I'm down to my last sliver of hashish.
Oh, dear.
Dear is right. I mean, it's very important for my book, for the completion, for the mood. You can tell I'm in a pretty creative mood.
It's just one of the great privileges of my lifetime just to have worked with him would have been enough. Just to have sparred with him would have been enough. But to have some of the conversations and friendship that I had with him, it's one of the great privileges of my life. He was a beautiful man. He was so sensitive and had such a beautiful heart. He had like a little bird heart, for a man that was, so bombastic and larger than life. And yes, I was honored that I got to see that.
You don't like this. Eddie, I was put in jail for rape when I was 15 years old.
Don't squeeze him.
I'm not squeezing him. I know, man. Eddie. Hey, hi, I never. Boy, this is a goddamn heavy plate on this bastard. All right, then. Hi. Yeah, he's pissed off, but he's healthy now. Good, Edward. He's capable of feeling. There's a lot of heart
Mine and that little bastard. Brainless in the end. Yeah. Give her a cigarette? Cigarette?
I am Edward. I am Edward. The fruits of his. You'll be lonely here, won't you, Eddie? I have to go to Colorado. I have to go away. You'll be by yourself. But I'll come back. Don't worry. You won't be alone. You won't be alone. You won't be alone. Yeah, that's a good one. You won't be alone. You'll hate that once you start figuring it out.